Hi, my name is Seti and welcome back to the channel where we make educational technology easy for you. In today's video, we're going to look at everything you can do in Google Forms. So let's jump into it with another flipped classroom tutorial. Now, Google Forms is part of the Google Workspace suite, and so there are a couple of ways that we can access Google Forms and create new forms. Now, we can use forms for quizzes, surveys, or any form of data collection, or maybe we just want to get some feedback. So let's get started by going to forms.google.com. When you navigate to forms.google.com, you will see the following page. Now, this will show you all your forms you've already created at the bottom. But one of the benefits of using the URL is that you can navigate to the template gallery. Here at the top, you will see we have a number of different templates, and we can click on Template Gallery to get even more templates. You can see we have some exit tickets, assessment templates, RSVP templates, t-shirt signups, and many more. For the sake of this demonstration, we are going to create a new form from scratch. And so I will show you the second way to create a Google form, and that is from your Google Drive. Now, your Google Drive is where you host and store all your files. And so here we can also create a form file. Simply click on New, and then we are going to find Google Forms. Here, when we click on the arrow, we can also use a template. Now, the first decision to make is this going to be a standard form or a quiz? Now, don't worry if you choose one or the other and you want to change the type, you can always do that later, and I will show you how to do that. So now let's click on Blank Form. This creates a brand new Google form. Now, as you can see here at the top, we have an untitled form title with a form description. So let's go ahead and start putting some information in here. Now, the form I'm creating is all about this video you're watching right now. And so let's title it Video Feedback. Here at the top, I'm going to change the title and say Video Feedback. This will automatically transfer over to the title, and we can now add a form description. So we're going to add our form description. This form will help me create better videos about the topics you are interested in, and then we can start adding our questions. Now, before we do that, let's make sure that our form looks the way we want it to look. And so that can be done at the top. Here you will see there is a little icon that allows you to customize the theme. And so I'm going to change the theme of this form. I'm going to click on that and start by choosing a header image. Now, choosing a header image will also then help you to select the colors that are used for the theme. So we're going to choose an image. I've already prepared an image here, but if you didn't, you have a number of images available right there from inside Google Forms. You can also upload or go to your Google Photos account and use any of those images. I'm going to upload a file. I'm going to click on Browse. This is being uploaded, and it automatically shows you that crop to show you what the visible area will be of this image that is being uploaded. Now, here I am going to use the new header for the channel. So let's go ahead and just adjust that crop slightly. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. There we go. Move it to the middle, and then click on Done. This is pulled into my form, and on the right-hand side, you will see it automatically selects a theme color. There we go, it has picked up on that yellow, and it suggests that I use that yellow for the rest of my form. Now, you can always choose any of these other colors that it takes from that header image. So if I prefer this dark navy blue, I could always select that and then just continue on with that color. For now, I'm going to stick to the yellow theme color, and I'm going to select my font style. We have a basic font style, we have a decorative, formal, or playful. I'm going to stick to the basic font type. There we go. And we can close our theme options. There we go, we have our header image set up, and we're going to ask some video feedback. Now, the first thing you'll see is that there's already an untitled question here. This is a multiple choice question. Now, if I wanted to remove this question, I can always click on it and navigate to the delete button at the bottom. When I click on that, that question will be removed. Now let's go ahead and add a question. Here on the right-hand side, I have a number of options. I can add a question, import questions from a different form. I can add a title and description. This is to add even more information. I can add in images into my form, videos, or create a section. Now we'll look at those sections later, but let's start with a standard question. This brings that question into my form, and then here on the right hand side I can choose what type of question this is. A short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, dropdown, file upload, linear scale, multiple choice grid, tick box grid, date or time. For my first question, I'm going to select a multiple choice question. And I'm going to ask the question, are you currently a subscriber? So are you currently a subscriber? Now, because this is going to be feedback on my video, I would like to know if you are currently a subscriber, and then later on I will ask if you would consider subscribing. Now, if you haven't, you can always find that red button down below. Now, if it's no longer red, you're already a subscriber, and thank you for that. Now here, we can now automatically see that Google Forms has interpreted this question and is suggesting me a number of answers. We can see yes, no, maybe, or I can add all. If I don't want to use these, I can always manually type in my questions or click on Add Other to have even more options. Because I like the yes, no, maybe, I'm going to click on Add All. These are added in, and we are going to go to the bottom where we now have a number of additional options. We can duplicate this, we can delete this question, or we can make it a required question. Now, a required question is a question that has to be answered before people can move on to the next section or next part of your form. This is important when there are certain details that you really need to get. For example, if there is an RSVP, it's important to know who is sending you the RSVP, and so you may want to make that first name a required question. In other cases, you need a date of birth, and then that will become a required question. When you click on the three dots, you will get a number of additional options. You can add a description to this question, or you can go to different sections based on answers. Now that means that our form is now going to be split three ways. Now the way this works is it's a little bit like a choose your own adventure story. So when they select yes, they will get a set of questions in that section. When they select no, they will get a different set of questions. This is really good as exit tickets for the classroom, or when you want to split up into different groups and you want to send people on their own learning journey using forms, using this way of working within forms. I'm going to leave it there. Let's add in a second question. We're going to click on plus, and we are going to add a different question type. For this one, I am going to choose the paragraph, and I'm going to ask, what did you find helpful about this video? Okay, we're going to leave that there. Again, it's an optional question. We're not going to make it required. And now we're going to add the next part to our form. This is where I'm going to add a section. Now, a section can be considered a chapter in a book, and so we can use these sections later on to break up our form into either pages, so there's not too many questions on a single page, or we can use it like a choose your own adventure, where depending on the response to a question, people are sent to a different section. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate right now. We're going to create a section by clicking on this icon down here. And this is now a second section. You can see here, after section 1, what happens? It will continue to the next section. Then we have our second section. This will be a section for people who are currently subscribers. So we're going to type in subscribers and type a description. Thank you for being a subscriber. It's great to have you here. Okay, let's add in a third section. This will be for those that have not yet subscribed. So we're going to add a section, section 3. The title of this is Welcome. So we're going to say welcome. I hope you found the video helpful. If you'd like to see more of these, please consider subscribing. And then the fourth section, that's where people go when they say maybe, or when they have already completed the subscriber or non-subscriber section. And this says, thank you for your feedback. Now, this is something I would recommend doing whenever you're running a workshop or a training, or even after your lessons. When you've taught a new lesson or a unit to your students, ask for their feedback. They love to give you the feedback. So why not use a Google form? Get that feedback, and depending on the answers your students are giving you, send them to different sections. So now that we have our 4 sections created, the first is the first video feedback section. The second is for people who are already subscribed. The third is for people who are not yet subscribers. And then finally, the fourth section is the one where everyone goes when they've completed their work. Now let's set it up so everyone is sent to the correct section. So the first thing we'll have to do is go back to our initial question and select which answers send people to a different section. So this first question, if you remember, it says, are you currently a subscriber? We are going to click on the 3 dots and select go to a section based on the answer. This opens up those drop-down boxes, and I can say when they say yes, send them to the subscribers section. When they say no, send them to the welcome section. And when they say maybe, send them to the thank you section. And we'll make this a required question so that we can be sure they answer. Otherwise, it will automatically go to the next section. Here, we now ensure that they are going to the selected section based on their answer. So this is now required. There we go. Let's scroll down. The subscriber section will have some questions. So let's add in a question. What type of content do you enjoy the most? And then we're going to give them a number of options there. We have short form, under 5 minutes. We're going to add another option. Long form, over 10 minutes. We're going to add another one, shorts, under 1 minute, mixed content. This is a question that we're going to ask our subscribers. Let's add in another one. We're going to add another question. What would you like to see next? Make a video on next. There we go. We're going to change the question type. So at the moment it's multiple choice. We're going to change that into a paragraph. All done. And when they've completed this section, they will be sent to the thank you page. Let's go to the third section. This is for those that are not yet a subscriber. I'm going to ask, after watching this video, would you consider subscribing? We're going to have 2 options. Yes, no, maybe. And then we'll ask them for some feedback. What would you change about the videos? There we go. This is another paragraph. Scrolling down, what happens when they've answered this? Well, they will go to that thank you page. And then the thank you page says, thank you for your feedback. Do you have any further comments? Another paragraph. Okay, our form is now ready. We have 4 sections. Let's scroll up. Let's double check that. Section 1, video feedback. This will send people to different sections depending on their answers. Section 2 is for subscribers. They will get 2 questions. Non-subscribers, they will get 2 questions. And then also a thank you at the end with another chance for them to leave some feedback. And once they've submitted the form, everyone filling out your form will see a confirmation message. That too can be tweaked, can be personalized. And so in order to do that, you'll have to go into your settings. Here at the top, one of these 3 tabs is the settings. So when we click on settings, this is where we can now change some of those defaults. Now here in these settings, that's where we can add that message to say thank you for your submission, or even allow everyone filling in this form to edit their submissions after they have already sent them. Here we can first of all make this a quiz. Now a quiz means that it's automatically going to mark and grade the answers. We'll look at that later. We can change how the responses are managed. So when I click on that drop down arrow here, you can see I can collect email addresses. I can send respondents a copy of their response. Again, this requires them to give us their email address. We can allow response editing. I will allow that. We can also restrict to the users within your domain, which we're not going to do at the moment. I want this to be an open form, so I'm going to untick this. And we can limit it to a single response. Now again, when I tick single response, this will require them to sign in, which I'm not going to do right now. So we're going to untick this. The next part of your settings is the way it's presented. So that's about the presentation. And this is where you add that confirmation message. Let's go ahead and click on drop down. And here we can show a progress bar so they know exactly how much still needs to be filled out. We can shuffle our question order. Great if you're doing this in a class and they're all sat next to each other. We can have a confirmation message. Let's click on edit. Your response has been recorded. I'm simply going to say, thank you for taking the time and giving me some feedback. There we go, save. This is what they will now see when they submit their feedback. I can also show a link to submit another response if they want to do it a second time. That is not necessary, so let's untick this. We can view the results summary. Now we don't need everyone to see what you're all sending my way, but if this was the case, and if I wanted everyone to see the results of a survey, then we can tick this and then everyone will see a breakdown with all the previous submissions. We can also disable autosave for the respondents, meaning they have to complete it in one sitting. I'm going to leave this unticked because I don't need you to complete this in one sitting. If you want to return to this form later and then complete, that is absolutely fine. At the bottom, we have a number of defaults. We can open this, collecting those email addresses by default, or having some question types default. That's not necessary for this form. So let's go back to our questions and let's preview the file. What will this look like to people accessing the form, answering the form, giving feedback? Well, here at the top, we have this eye icon, and this is your preview. When you click on that, you get a large preview. This shows you what the form will look like to anyone filling it out. And it's also a great way of testing that logic that you have built in. When you're using various sections, I would highly recommend that you test it. Make sure every answer is sending people to the correct section. This is where you can test that. So here's scrolling down. Are you currently a subscriber? Yes, no, maybe. Did you find it helpful? When I click on next, I cannot continue because this has been made a required question. So let's go ahead and say, yes, I'm already a subscriber, and let's click on next. This brings us to the second section, subscribers. Thank you for being a subscriber. What type of content do you enjoy? I get that feedback, and when they click on next, they end up on the thank you page. Great, that's what we wanted to see. So now let's clear the form and go back to the beginning. Are you currently a subscriber? No, I'm not yet a subscriber. Let's click on next. This sends me to the welcome section. After watching this video, would you consider subscribing? And then next, they get that thank you. Now, if they clear the form one more time, let's test our maybe. We select maybe, click on next, and it sends us straight to the end, asking for some comments. Everything's working, so now let's go back to the edit by clicking on this edit icon. Once I've clicked on that, I am back in the main editor for my Google form. Now, as people are submitting answers, where do those go? Well, we can see them here in this second tab where it says responses. Here you can turn it off or on, which means that you can turn this form on and off, accepting responses or not. And when you click on this icon here, you will create a spreadsheet in Google Sheets that will then have all the responses in a spreadsheet format. You can also click on the three dots. This allows you to get email notifications for new responses. It allows you to change the response destination, choose a different spreadsheet, so you can have multiple forms all feeding information into a single spreadsheet. Or you can download the responses as a CSV file, again, allowing you to edit and work with that data in a different program. Okay, we've got our form, everything is ready to go. We're going to click on the three dots at the top. This allows us to do a number of additional things that have to do with the way Google files work. We can make a copy of this form, we can move it to the bin, get a pre-filled link, which means that some of the answers are already filled out, or we can also add some collaborators. Let's go ahead and click on Add Collaborators. When I do that, I can now invite others. And again, this is at the core of Google Workspace. You can collaborate, create these forms together, and see the responses as well. So here I can add multiple collaborators. Let's add teacher 2, and make Teacher 2 an editor as well. We can notify them or not and leave a message. Here in the settings icon, I can also change some of these permissions. So if I wanted to add an editor, but I don't want that editor to add more people, I untick this box. I can also change it so viewers and commenters do not have the option to download, print, or copy any information. I'm happy with Teacher 2 to have access, so let's click on Share. And there we go. We now have 2 people collaborating on a single form. Okay, I'm ready to send my form. Let's go to the top and click on Send. Now, as soon as you do that, you have a number of different options to send this form and get your responses. The first is to send it via email, to use a link, and you can shorten that URL, which is what I will do. Now, this form will be linked in the description below, so please do use it. Give me some feedback on this video. And you can also embed it. If you have an LMS system where you'd like to embed it, or a website where you want to embed that form, you can use this embed code right there. It's already built into the Google Forms editor. I'm going to use this URL. We're going to click on copy, and this can now be shared anywhere you want. They will get this link, they will automatically see the form and can now submit their responses. Going to close this. Now, the second part to Google Forms is using Google Forms as quizzes. Now, if I was to change this in my settings to become a quiz, that would mean that I have to add an answer key because it will automatically be graded. To here, for example, make this a quiz. Do you want to release the marks to your students immediately or later after a manual review? We can also have a locked mode. So if you are using managed Chromebooks in your school, you can lock it down so they can't open other windows or tabs as they're taking this quiz. You can also change the missed question setting. So this will tell you which questions were answered incorrectly. They can see the correct answers after the grades have been released, point values, etc. Now let's say that I leave this as a quiz. There's an additional button. Let's go here to what type of content you enjoy the most. At the bottom it says answer key. Now when I click on answer key, I will have to tell Google Forms how much this question is worth in points, the value of this question, and I will also have to tick which of these is the correct answer. So let's say that long form content, shorts, or mixed content, that these are the correct answers. I can save this as my answer key. You can see it has a tick there now. After submissions, it'll automatically grade this quiz and release those grades. Now, for the sake of a survey, this makes very little sense. And so I am not going to use the quiz option. We're going to go to settings and turn this off. So when you're creating feedback forms, don't use the quiz option. But when we're talking about assessments in class, this is an amazing way of making your form a quiz so that those multiple choice answers are automatically graded, marked, and everything is done for you. And that is a complete overview of Google Forms. Now make sure that you go to that description below, find the link and give me some feedback on the videos. Now if you're not yet a subscriber and you want to learn more about educational technology, consider subscribing to the channel right now. Now for those already subscribed, we also have memberships. Now becoming a member is super easy. Click on the join button and then you'll also get an invite to a private Discord group where we can discuss these videos, educational technology, and integrating it into the classroom. In the meantime, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.